Well, hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. My name is Mansa, and in today's video I will be sharing with you how I make a very moist and delicious blueberry lemon pound cake. You heard me right. We're also going to be making a cream cheese lemon glaze to balance out all the tart and sweetness from the blueberries and the lemon. It is going to have a very bomb texture, and I'm sure you guys are so going to love it. So without wasting much of your time, let's get right into today's video, guys. Let's start off by preparing a baking pan. This is a 14 or 16 baking pan. I can't remember, but yeah, you can go ahead and butter it up and put flour on it, lightly coat it, or you could simply just go with these baking sprays. I like to go with this one because it has flour in it, so I love it. Just go ahead and use a brush and just dust it all around. Just make sure that everywhere is nicely coated, especially if you're using a bundt pan. And now that we have that out of the way, let's move on to our dry ingredients. Here I have 3 cups of all-purpose flour already sifted. To that I will be adding 1 teaspoon of baking powder and half a teaspoon of baking soda. So I'm using a combination of both in this recipe. And then I'm also going to be using a little bit of salt. Okay, I'm using salted butter, so I only need a little bit of salt. If you're using unsalted butter, then you can add a little bit more salt. Again, all the ingredients that I use will always be listed in the description box below for your convenience. Go ahead and stir that up and put it aside, and we will move on to the wet ingredients. Now, in another bowl, I am going to start off with butter. Now you would notice that I cut down the butter here. I wanted to try something new. I typically would do 3 sticks of butter to 3 cups of flour for a pound cake, but I want something a little different, and I will tell you why in a second. So I'm starting off with 2 sticks of butter, unsalted butter at room temperature. That's why you see it really soft. So you just want to go ahead and cream that up. I am not using my stand mixer today, just a hand mixer, really simple. And once we get that butter creamed up, I would go in with 2 cups of sugar. I'll always typically cut down on my sugar. A typical pound cake will have 3 cups of sugar for this amount of flour, and I always do mine at 2.5 cups. But because we're making a sweet glaze, I am cutting it down to 2 cups. But feel free to use 2.5 cups. So you want to beat the butter and the sugar so that it becomes light and airy. This takes with about 5 to 6 minutes with the hand mixer. And now it is time to add our eggs. I have 5 eggs at room temperature. Very important. It helps everything emulsify better, and you would avoid overbeating your ingredients in this batter. So putting one at a time and beating it for about 30 seconds or so. Let it incorporate before I add in the next one. That's what I do until I get all of the eggs incorporated. Baking is so much fun. I get a lot of questions about how I get my inspiration and how I know what ingredients to use. It's all about learning and understanding your ingredients, and also what end results you want to achieve. What texture are you going for? All of that stuff I take into consideration as I play around with different ingredients and recipes to come up for you guys. Okay, so once we get all the eggs incorporated, I would now try to add in the flour, and we're going to be alternating the dry and wet ingredients. So I put a little bit of that flour and beat it into the batter, and I'm just beating on low to medium speed. You do not want to overbeat. We just want to get everything incorporated. Next, I'm going to incorporate the wet ingredients, and here I have 1 cup of heavy whipping cream at room temperature. This will give me a light and crumbly texture, and if you want a more denser texture, which will all be moist as well, you can go ahead and use a cup of buttermilk also at room temperature. So I'm just going in and alternating between the flour and the heavy whipping cream until I get all of it incorporated, and also beating in between for about 30 seconds or so. If this is your first time on this channel, I want to say a warm welcome to you all. And the next step I'm going to do right now is to add some sour cream. This is half a cup of sour cream, also at room temperature. You guys know sour cream in baking provides a whole lot of moisture and fat as well. It has a high fat content, and I love using it in certain cakes. Okay, so get all of that in there, and then I will bump up my flavor as well. And I'm using 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract. And also I am going to be using some lemon extract, just 1 a half a teaspoon of that is enough, of that lemon extract. It's going to give it a beautiful taste. Also, I'm going to be using some freshly squeezed lemon juice. It's a blueberry lemon pound cake, so we want to have the presence of that lemon to be very pronounced. So I am using 2 tablespoons of freshly squeezed lemon juice, and I'm saving the rest for our glaze. So just put that aside. I've also been getting a lot of comments and DMs from people that said they have not baked in so long and they have kind of lost the zeal, or some people that even said that they've never baked in their lives and they don't know how to bake. Well, I got good news for you guys. This brings me to the very fun segment in this video, which is proudly sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for anyone who loves learning and wants to explore their creativity and learn new skills. If you have a specific skill that you're trying to learn, Skillshare is the perfect place to start. Whether you're trying to go into photography or graphic design, freelancing, or if you're somebody like me, which I know a lot of you have similar goals with me, if you're trying to learn baking and all of that, Skillshare is the place for you. In 2022, I want to improve my skills and knowledge in baking, which makes Skillshare a perfect fit for me because they have thousands of culinary classes. A great place to start with might be this class, The Basics of Baking by Shubrashu Bendo, who is a professional pastry chef, and he shares a lot of these tips and tricks that I always share in my videos. He talks about the different types of protein, different types of flour, when to use them to get the best results while you're baking. And I know a lot of you like those tips and tricks that I give in my videos. He also talks about the different types of sugar, their composition, and also different choices you want to make to achieve the best results while baking, what dairy products you want to use, and so on. The best news is that I have a unique link in my description box below, and the first 1,000 people to use this link will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. I am sure you guys will find a perfect fit for your creativity needs. Okay friends, so now this is the last part of the flour that was left. I have added all the wet ingredients, so that's the last bit. Just get it in there, and at this point just mix it a little, and then we will be done. Okay, so now you want to scrape the sides of your bowl, because I'm using my hand mixer, so I stop and scrape the sides of my bowl, make sure that I don't have any dry pockets. And the most important part, guys, do not forget to zest this baby. Zest your cake. You're gonna get the maximum flavor from that lemon when you get that zest. Zest contains all those oils that gives your baking this beautiful flavor and smell as well. So I'm using the zest of 1 lemon, and once you get that in, just simply fold it in gently. You do not want to over mix. And then of course the start of the show are blueberries. I have not forgotten. So guys, here I have 2 cups of fresh blueberries. Okay, so now at the beginning, please, before you mix your flour, you want to take out half a cup of that flour and toss it all over the blueberries. I forgot to do that. Okay, I'm human. I forgot to do that. So now I'm adding 1 tablespoon of flour and just coating it in the blueberries. So what this would do is supposed to help the blueberries to not all sink to the bottom of the cake. But of course I forgot to do that, and my bad. You would see the difference in the cake at the end. It was still very beautiful, very delicious, but I wanted the blueberries to suspend, but I forgot to do this. So you want to do this at the beginning. Toss the blueberries in at least half a cup of flour. I forgot, and I did not want to use more flour because, man, I already used my 3 cups. So you want to do that at the end. And once you get the blueberries all tossed in the flour, you go ahead and add that into your batter and simply fold it in. Remember, the batter's done. You don't want to go mixing. Just simply fold it in. And of course, by this time, you would have preheated your oven to 325 degrees Fahrenheit. When I do pound cakes, I like to bake at a lower temperature. So instead of 350, we will be doing 325 degrees Fahrenheit. Now we're ready to pour this batter all into a prepared pan. So into there it goes. And I typically bake at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for 70 to 80 minutes. Each one's oven is different, so make sure that you understand your oven and how it works. Mine typically takes 7 to 5 minutes to be exact, of course. So once you get all that batter in there, you want to pop it, drop it. You know how we do it. Release all them air bubbles. Try to make this cake as level as possible. Nothing serious over here. And then we will be ready to bake. Again, check your oven temperature. Mine bakes at 325 for 75 minutes, and we will be right back. And our cake is out of the oven and it smells so good. It is nice and hot, has a beautiful brown color. So now you want to let this cake rest in the pan for about 15 to 20 minutes before inverting it and let it cool down all the way to room temperature before glazing. So our cake came out perfect. As you can see, the pan is nice and clean. So now while it's cooling down, let's go ahead and make a glaze. Here I have 1 8-ounce pack of cream cheese at room temperature, and I also have half a stick of butter, which is an equivalent of 4 tablespoons of butter, also at room temperature. We're gonna go ahead with a hand mixer or a spatula, whatever you have, or whisk, whatever works. Just go ahead and cream the butter and cream cheese together until it has a very smooth consistency and it's perfectly incorporated. That only takes a few minutes, and then once we get that in, I will go ahead and scrape the sides of my bowl, and then I would add my sugar. Here I have 2 cups of powdered sugar. I've already sifted it to remove any lumps, and then I'll go ahead and mix all of that in. Now, the consistency of the glaze you want is totally optional, but I would share what I'm going for. I am going for a pourable glaze, something that I could pour over the cake but not too runny, so that would determine how much liquid I want to put. So now, of course, for flavor, I'm going to put half a teaspoon of vanilla extract into a glaze. And now remember, we had leftover freshly squeezed orange juice from the cake. Exactly, that's what we're using it here. I started off with 1 tablespoon of that lemon juice. I put it in there and folded it. I want to start gradually so that I don't mess it up. So once you start gradually, if you need more, you can use more. And my glaze was still thick. I needed to loosen it up a little, so I used the remaining 1 tablespoon, making it 2 tablespoons for the cake and 2 tablespoons for the glaze. It gave me the perfect consistency. And now my cake has cooled all the way down to room temperature, and it is now time to glaze this baby. Look at that. This process right here is so satisfying. I prefer the cream cheese glaze for this recipe because that cream cheese is a little tangy, so it cuts down a lot of that sugar from the glaze. I typically do not like glaze that is just too sweet. And this is the finished product of our beautiful cake. So now let's go ahead and open it up and see what we're working with on the inside. Like I promised you guys, it's going to have a very delicious and almost delicate crumbly texture because of all the choices that we made. That heavy whipping cream, guys, look at that. It is so beautiful, and I'm telling you, it is not overly sweet, and the glaze makes it just perfect. If this is your first time on this channel, I want to welcome you. You are absolutely welcome to the Mansa team. And to my returning subscribers, thank you guys so much for always coming back to watch my videos and support your girl. Guys, can you see the crumbly texture of this cake? Let me tell you, this cake right here is perfection. Again, feel free to support your girl if you like this video by just simply hitting on that like button. It helps my channel to grow and also motivates me and lets me know what type of videos you would like to see from me. I want to say a big thank you to you all, and if you get to try the recipe, feel free to tag me on Instagram or Facebook. My handle is in my description box, and it is also in my About tab. It is called at the Mansa Queen. You can tag me in your videos. I appreciate all the tags and mentions that I get from my viewers and subscribers. You guys are the best. I hope you get to try this recipe, and if you do drop a comment in the comment section below so that others that are wanting to try it will get a first-hand experience from you all. Again, feel free to check out Skillshare. The description box below has the link, okay? And the first 1,000 people, like I mentioned, that will click on it will be able to get a free trial for a month with Skillshare. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until I catch you in my next one, y'all stay safe. I love you all. Bye.